do your feelings change about people through having painted them?
Very much, yes. You mean when I'm working from them? Yes.
Is that... does it change in the same way as if you just know someone longer?
No, it's to do with all sorts of things, to do with the conditions of their life, insofar as they manifest themselves on them, and to do with circumstances, to do with things they say.
How is it different for you doing a nude portrait to a clothed portrait?
Well, I suppose I'm more concerned for them if they're naked, the people I work from. Chiefly keeping them warm is my chief concern. But, I mean, if they aren't at ease at the beginning, they will soon become so, because it's such a long job and long term.
It's very different to do a portrait of oneself.
Yes.
Rather than a human being.
It's completely different. It's very tempting because of your permanent availability, but I do start more self-portraits and destroy more than any other pictures because they seem to, in my case, they seem to go wrong so very, very often, and I haven't found a way of doing them. Not that I've found a way of doing anything, but I feel that they should become easier, and they don't. There's also an important point. You can't see yourself like you can other people. All you can see is a reflection. And I've tried to paint the actual reflection that I see, which is why I actually call them reflections, rather than for any poetic reason.
Do you try and avoid things when you're doing a self-portrait?
I trying to avoid anything, any expression on my part, which seems to me to be viewing oneself in a pleasant or conciliatory light, and so I notice from self-portraits very, very often that I look at people tend to make themselves look, give themselves a kind of grandeur, which I'm not saying they haven't got it, but which they certainly don't give to other people. And I don't know if I succeed in this, but I'm conscious of trying to avoid that very much. But then, of course, I think it would be equally false to make yourself look meaner than you were, if this were possible, because it would be dramatizing it in another way, and in a way, in a more trivial way, in a sense.
What's the difference for you, painting a single portrait and a portrait of two people?
Well, two people are harder, firstly because I'm outnumbered, and there is a certain combative element, only insofar that you want them to sit as you wish, and just suggesting it and so on and controlling them, maybe just with movements of the head. It means twice as much control has to be exercised like two circus animals.
Are there times maybe where you'd start a single portrait and then decide that it would be better if they were there with someone else?
It's happened recently, yes, but I did have to extend the canvas quite a lot. So it wasn't, I very much didn't want it to look as if the other person had wandered into the picture and edged over to try and get in. I wanted it to look inevitable. Especially since there's a point of contact in this picture. But then there's, do you know that Rembrandt, The Conspiracy of the Batavians?
Yes.
With a man with one eye and the sword. There's when he cut the picture down, which in fact was the largest picture he'd ever done, there's a huge looming figure in the foreground, and that was painted on right at the end. Did you know that or not? And once you know it, in a sense, you could say it looked like it, and yet you can't conceive of the picture without it, and it makes it even more wild and dangerous looking.
Yes. So do you match yourself against the artists of the past?
I think of great pictures perhaps rather than great artists. Right. There's some very few painters where like everything they did because it's by them. But on the whole, they're marvelous pictures that have affected me and touched me that I think of, and that obviously I try to do as well as realizing it's absolutely impossible.
Are they a steady first team?
They vary depending on where my sympathies lie. But as some years ago when I was in Scotland, I went every day to see the two big Titians in the National Gallery there. In fact, one of the pictures that's here, when I'd nearly finished it, when I got back, I repainted it because of looking at them. Then I went upstairs and there was a Rembrandt there, a pretty good one, and it looked so stodgy. I'm not saying by this I like Titian better or it means more to me. In fact, I wouldn't have said that was the case at all. It's just I got really... the more I looked at the pictures, the more I saw in them. I even literally saw more. I found more and more dogs the more I looked at them.